Hi, I'm Alan.
Hi, this is Dionysus.
Hi, I'm Kyle.
And hi, this is Breaker, and you're listening to Magic Hour, a podcast about all things Treasure Dao. When you say Weth, do you say Weth, obviously, or do you say Weeth?
We're talking about wrapped Ethereum.
Wrapped Ethereum.
I think I say Weth.
I say Weth too, but I also say ETH as opposed to Eth.
It makes, oh man. Yeah. Now
It's very weird.
Weeth doesn't really make a lot of sense. It just roll off the tongue. Weth.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So whenever I hear Eth, I kind of like feel like not like cringe. It just like it irks me. It's like it doesn't sound right.
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound right at all.
Yeah.
I guess we just got to call it Wrapped Ether.
Yeah, I like that. Wrapped Ether. It's like cooler.
Oh, hey, friend. Sorry. We were just talking about the intricacies of the English language, but welcome to another episode of Magic Hour. It's just me and Dion today, but later on in the episode, we have the Magic Dragon Dao team, which I think you're going to find very interesting. And now let's dive into the news and notes presented by Digital Strategies Guild, producers of the Magic Podcast. We appreciate their efforts. Dion, what's on your radar this week?
Yeah, I have a couple news and notes. They're a little bit more quick hits than usual, but the first one is it was John Patton's birthday recently. I think that we should give him a quick birthday shout out. Without him, there would be no treasure and therefore no Magic Hour. So happy birthday, John.
Happy birthday, John. Well, happy belated birthday, John, because this will be coming out a week after your birthday.
That's right.
And be thankful that we're not singing for you right now. I don't think anybody would want to hear that.
I have a terrible voice, so that would definitely not be good. The second on my list is Knights of the Ether as of Monday the 25th, I want to say, have officially added squires to the treasure marketplace. So if you want to participate in the questing on the Arbitrum network, you'll need to pick yourself up a squire, which you can get from the treasure marketplace, and you'll also need a knight, which you can get from OpenSea or Looks Rare or your favorite NFT marketplace of choice.
There are so many of them. Do I have to have both a knight and a squire?
That's a really good question. So you need at least one knight to participate in the quests in the Arbitrum network, but you can have like one knight and like two squires or three, etc.
I guess that makes sense because a squire without a knight wouldn't be a squire technically.
That's right.
Guys, this is medieval historical understanding. Get with it, okay? What else do you have? Or is that it?
I think the third thing on the list is Smalls have recently stopped their treasure farming on the moon. I hope that you took your Smalls out, and we have some more information to come on that from the team. But get excited because I think there's going to be some movement in Smalls at some point in the near future.
I think by the time this episode comes out, there should be an announcement being made. And I'll touch on that in my news and notes. But first, I wanted to talk about the fact that we have an announcement of Realm Season 2, and everybody who's participating in Realm has been advised to unstake their realms as of May 1st, or else it seems like you might lose it. So I highly advise you, if you're playing Realm, to unstake your realms. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was you might have been hearing a lot of FUD lately about treasure and a lot of hype and not much delivering on that hype. You know, it's more about like just hinting and teasing, and you can only hint and tease so much. And I think that we've heard a lot of rumblings in the discords about people's unhappiness about the teasing. No one likes to be teased. And so today in the one Discord treasure channel that we have, Garp stopped by and he kind of cleared the air a little bit, and he said that they are working their heads down. He said that they are building a marketing and PR team to address these communication challenges, and we should be seeing some improvements soon. He also said there will be an announcement by the end of April. We also understand that Bridge World 2.0 is being announced soon as well. So it should be exciting by the time this podcast is out, because I think this podcast episode launches in May, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we should know more by then, but this will be a very interesting episode if nothing happens.
I have faith.
I have faith too.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I think, Dion, I know you weren't there for the interview, but the Magic Dragon Dao guys were really, really entertaining, and I hope you enjoy them. I hope everyone else enjoys them. And thanks for listening to the pod this week. Ladies and gentlemen, listeners out there in Treasure DAO, we have wonderful guests for you today. We have a number of members from the Magic Dragon DAO. Dyson and KVK are here to tell us about their project, as well as how they got into crypto, what they enjoy about Magic, what brought them here. And I think you're really going to enjoy this interview. So
Thank
you for having us.
thank you very much.
you're welcome. It's great to have you on. We're really excited about having you here. Before we get to start to talking about your project and Magic Dragon DAO and how it relates to Magic, I really want to know how you guys got into crypto in the first place, Web3, if you want to call it that. I think it's really interesting hearing everybody's different stories. And usually Alum is the one who really drives this particular piece of information. But, what brought you to the space in general?
Yeah. So maybe about, I was always aware, sort of what crypto was, but never actually, did, DeFi or investments. But maybe about 2 years ago, I had a friend that just kept on, drilling at me, invest 5%, and then don't talk about it. So I started doing some centralized exchange investments, things like that. And then maybe about a year and a half ago, I had a friend who's actually one of the other core members of MDD Net. I was with him during a conference, just with him as a friend, and he started explaining how Olympus Ohm worked, and he also sort of explained a little bit how some of these protocols and ecosystems and communities worked, and I thought they were a little bit crazy. So I ended up, learning a lot about DeFi through Ohm last year over the summer and into the fall.
Yeah, I mean, to most people out there who aren't familiar with Web3, it does sound a little bit crazy, especially when you start talking about NFTs and their wild valuations. So that's pretty understandable. But so Ohm forks were your original foray into this space, so to speak.
Yeah, Ohm was it, and sort of going into the question of NFTs, my friend, he actually just sent me a NFT. He owed me a touch of money, and he said, "Here, take this as just like a thing." And there's a saying you learn a lot about by something when you own it. And I just started figuring out, getting interested about what I owned, and I started making NFT projects, just like putting them on OpenSea just to see how that would work. And I thought this was interesting, but I just did a lot of reading and a lot of time on crypto Twitter, and yeah, I just spent a lot of time trying to figure out what I was doing over the past year and a half, and that's sort of how I got here.
Right on. And just as a follow-up question to that, do you have any? What's your background? Are you more a finance, software engineer? None of the above.
I've spent a lot of time around software. I've been building software products, specifically from a product manager perspective for probably my whole professional career, I guess.
Product managers and project managers are really important, I think, in any software development. So I think, you're probably in the right space for this type of thing for sure. And I think that there's plenty of opportunity for you. KVK, what about you? Do you have a similar story, or how did you get into Web3?
Yeah, I would say I'm the crypto class of about 2016. I just got into it. I had a friend that I went to school with. She had met someone at a local event that was doing a crypto startup. She started working for them. She hit me up. She said, "Hey, do you want to, work with me?" And I said, "Sure, that sounds easy. I don't have to interview. I don't have to do anything like that." And it was, we were building the kind of stuff that was hot in 2016, which was a lot different than it than it is today. Small team, about 6, 7 people. I learned a lot of stuff on the job. Since then, I have done a few different projects and startups around the space, co-founded a couple different projects that have tokens live now under my Docs personality. And yeah, it's been fun. I've worked for large crypto companies. I've worked for startups. I have solo projects. And, as for Treasure, I got into NFTs in like late 2020, I'd say. Kind of like, I remember 2017. It's kind of funny. I totally had no vision, right? Because I remember when CryptoKitties were a really big deal, but to me, they were a big deal in the context that I was trying to do a bunch of stuff on Ethereum and they were like congesting the network. So
Yeah.
like my memory of NFTs in 2017 was like gas fees are so high because everyone's minting these fucking kitties.
I remember that too. I actually have a bunch of crypto kitties. I remember even kind of looking up
Yeah.
all the different traits and trying to figure out how I could get like the rarer kitties. And
Yep.
what
Yeah.
what bothers me the most is that there's so many that they're not even that valuable now, even though they're some of the first
Yep.
NFTs.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of funny. So yeah, like that was 2017. I stuck around through 2018, 2019. I was kind of working in, you could call like big or like centralized crypto at the
Hmm.
time. 2020, around DeFi summer, I decided I kind of want to like work on my own projects. And then I mentioned like NFTs kind of came around again. And I kind of realized, hey, there's really something here. And then by the time of, summer of 2021, when everything was going crazy, I was like many people spending hours and hours a day on OpenSea, thinking about how to make generational wealth from penguin JPEGs. It's kind of a funny time. But I was right there on Loot. I did pretty well on Loot. And then I kind of like figured, oh, well, Loot did pretty well. Let me buy a bunch of these N. And
Right.
N did not do as well, but I ended up staking them for Magic, right? So that's
Right.
kind of how I found out about Treasure DAO.
Uh-huh.
And that turned out to be an amazing play. So
Yeah.
so the end was worth it after all. And then I just kind of started following the project, and I have a different project over in like kind of the Cosmos ecosystem. So I'd
Hmm.
actually heard about John from there, and I kind
Right.
of realized, hey, I know that guy. Like, I should pay closer attention to this project. And it's been really, really cool. I mean, I've seen lot of crypto projects like try to build their communities and everything like that, and Treasure I think is really, really unique in terms of the type of community that's built up around it. It's organic. It brought in a lot of really smart, passionate people, a lot of really imaginative people. And one of the things that I think is really powerful is, however the market is doing up or down, it looks like everybody wants to build and everybody is like really stoked to build the next thing. So that's exciting for me too. And as far as my background, I'm an engineer, so I'm a dev. I write smart contracts, and it's been really fun to build in this space and write smart contracts like for the Treasure ecosystem. So that's kind of me. I'm just a guy that is having fun in crypto and is lucky enough to be doing that.
Well, I can appreciate that, and I'm lucky enough to be able to do that as well. I'm not an engineer, unfortunately. I wish I was, because I have all these smart contract ideas, and I just want to learn how to build right now so that I can hopefully execute on some of them in the future. But really cool, and I think that I agree with you about how awesome this space is, that everybody wants to build and that there are a lot of talented people. And one of the things that I think about a lot is Ethereum. People always talked about how it was always the play because it had the most developers working on that particular blockchain. Now, obviously, now things are spread out and there's a lot more development going on in lots of different L2s and other ecosystems. But when I think about Magic and Treasure DAO, it's kind of very similar. It's not that there aren't many different spaces that people are building in, but there are a lot of people building within the Magic ecosystem, which I think is bullish for Magic, as well as someone's going to really hit on something, just statistically speaking, right? If we have 100 different projects, at least one of them is going to be something really popular, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're already kind of seeing that. There's a lot of people, it seems like to me, in Treasure that are new to the space or new to NFTs. Being on
Hmm.
Arbitrum and everything with low gas fees, I think is really important to that too. So, all these ecosystem projects, right? What we're
Right.
doing, Life, everything else that's been coming out. I definitely agree that like you talk about, which project is going to bring another, 10 million users into crypto. I think Treasure has a great shot of that.
Certainly. Certainly. And especially at the price point too, because I think with some of the more popular projects that we see right now, they are so incredibly overpriced that it represents a huge barrier to entry for anyone who wants to try and get in.
Yeah.
But I digress. We're here to talk about Magic and Magic Dragon Dao. So how did you guys come up with the idea for Magic Dragon Dao? Was it something you always thought about from the day you started messing around with Magic, or did it kind of come about after, say, the Atlas Mine was launched and Bridge World started to become kind of the go-to for a lot of people?
Yeah, we saw a message. I think a lot of people have seen this message from John that posted on Twitter. He was kind of like, "Who's going to become the convex of the Magic ecosystem?" So that was kind of the genesis, like of kind of the idea. And then as far as how did we start working on it, myself, Net Purveyor, who's one of our other founders, Ato, who's one of our other founders, and Monk, we all are in kind of like a private Discord, normal like alpha group trading type stuff. And we had all kind of like talked about Magic for a while. When the Atlas Mine came out, we kind of discovered that we have a really good, combination of skills and resources. I had, for instance, a bunch of Magic, but I didn't have any legions or treasures or anything like that. Net had a bunch of legions and treasures and had a lot of really good ideas. And, he was a designer. Ato and Dyson are kind of products and tokenomics guys, and I'm a dev. So it was a good kind of mismatch of skills or matching of skills. And we just kind of decided, hey, we see this kind of path to building something that looks a lot like the convex of Magic. We recognize this like staking pool idea and how it could expand in the future once harvesters come out and new game mechanics came out. And we just kind of like set to building it, right? And, I think there are a lot of things that are kind of on the roadmap. They're going to make this like a really more interesting and dynamic project than just a single staking pool. A lot of ways the kind of, quote unquote, like resources of the dragon are going to flow back into the ecosystem. But, we saw an opportunity, I think, to build something that was really exciting, for the market, for the smaller player who doesn't have, a bunch of NFTs.
I'm one of those smaller
Yeah.
players.
Yeah. So we were, just in a good position to build it. It kind of worked out well. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I was looking at it today. You have something like $19 million US dollars worth of Magic staked, I believe.
And fluctuates depending on the price, obviously. Yeah.
Oh yeah, certainly. But as of today, which is on the low end if we're considering where things have been going with the Magic token right now. But
sure.
That's still pretty awesome. It seems like there's a lot of interest in your project. So I think that's really great. And I think it's great that you guys are doing this, not just because it's something else for Magic, but we're exploring different ways that we can build in this ecosystem that may not have been attempted before. This is integrating NFTs into yield farming, which is kind of uncharted territory for the most part. Would you agree, or am I completely wrong there?
You curious what you think, KVK, but from like a launch perspective, I think we were the first to sort of come to do this. I think we did it fairly quickly. I think we had the idea at around the February time, and we launched after like around 60 days after. But others in the space are putting out products semi-similarly. Those with certain assets ask themselves how can they best utilize it, and we'll see what else comes up. So yeah, that's my answer. I'm curious what you think, KVK.
Yeah, NFTs are at a really interesting point, I think, and not just in Treasure, but in like kind of the ecosystem as a whole. In 2021, punks, art blocks, that was kind of like truly JPEG season, right? Now, a lot of the NFTs you see becoming popular have utility around them, whether it's helping you get emissions of a certain token or private Discord access or, who knows, next month someone will probably think up something new in terms of NFT utility. So I do think that like Treasure was really early to that trend in terms of the ways that NFTs improve staking. We hope to, kind of have future projects too that really build on that trend too. So yeah, it's really cool. I was, I kind of like consider myself like even like a bit more of a DeFi guy than an NFT guy. So it's really cool to be able to apply a lot of kind of like DeFi ideas to this kind of interesting space where DeFi and NFTs are starting to get kind of more tightly integrated and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's me. Yeah.
That's a great answer, and
Mm,
and I agree. I think
mm.
that it's really interesting to see the crossover between DeFi and NFTs. I'm excited to see where it goes too. And you're right, utility is paramount. That's what people are seeking right now.
Yep.
Just I kind of want to go on a little bit of a tangent here with your project. Lore wise, dragons in fantasy. I'm a big fantasy guy. They are I guess the big enemy, if you will. If you played World of Warcraft, dragons were like the big boss. If you read The Hobbit, or Lord of the Rings, there was definitely dragons there that were hoarding treasures. This question actually comes from Dion, who couldn't make it today, but he wanted to know, do you guys consider yourselves the villains in this Treasure DAO ecosystem from a lore perspective?
Well, from the origination of the idea, we knew we were trying to go after like the idea of hoarding treasure, and
Mhm,
we were thinking what hoards treasure, and we came to the idea of dragons hoard treasure, and that's what we've been running with. We were pretty lucky to get such a great design language and good assets, and that's been what we've been going after from a villain perspective. I think about this in two ways. You could ask yourselves, like, are we the dragon, or are we like as the disciples going after the dragon? So I don't think, and purposely, I don't know if we've made that clear yet, actually, that are we representing the dragon, or is the goal like disciples, earn something from the dragon? And this is something that will, as time goes on, develop further. But is MDD like a villain of the system? I think this is where it obviously gets a bit more dicey. I think we don't think so. As at least we would try to say, we try to be open, and we could talk about this a bit more later in the podcast, but we try not to be. And from like a lore perspective, the dragon could be evil, but I guess it's just its representation in the moment of are we part of the dragon, or are we the dragon? So hope that gives some light on that.
It certainly does, and I like that kind of theoretical question. I'm going to ponder on it a little bit after this, because I think that that's an interesting approach. And thank you for suggesting that. I love doing these interviews because I get to hear from the builders and the creators, and all of a sudden these new ideas are presented to me that I may not have considered before. So I appreciate that. But I also appreciate that you're embracing the lore of it all, and that makes me feel warm and fuzzy, because that's the way I saw you guys too. Not as villains, so to speak, but more as like the creature that hoards all this treasure and the magic. And
I remember in I think your 6th podcast, maybe, or one of them, you mentioned that you had an idea in the future once these games start getting built out, that people, I forgot what you said exactly, but something like people would fight the dragon, and once they beat the dragon, all the treasures are revealed to the disciples of the ecosystem. I thought that was a neat idea.
Yeah, no, I mean, thank you for that. I appreciate that. But yeah, that's kind of something that I feel fits from a lore perspective. We're all kind of questing in the Treasure DAO right now, whether it's through Bridge World or your Smalls or what have you. But to achieve something great, would be to like slay the dragon, so to speak. And I think that canonically, that would be pretty cool if we could slay the Magic Dragon DAO and receive a reward somehow. I don't know how it would be done, because obviously there's plenty of people in Magic Dragon DAO that would be very much against the fact that all the yield would be distributed to the people destroying it. But it would be cool to see if something came of that. But I appreciate not only that you remembered that I spoke about that, but you were listening to the pod as well. So thank you. Thank you for that. We appreciate that.
We definitely, I mean, we could talk about this later, but we definitely have eyes and ears around the ecosystem about whenever MDD comes up. So it's always nice to hear someone mention us, and we'll spend that time listening to it all.
Cool.
Yeah. And as far as bringing the dragon into other games, like other games within the treasure ecosystem,
Hmm.
I think you might see something like that soon. You know, the dragon beyond MDD can like might be a character. You might be able to fight the dragon, like you said, or make a deal with the dragon. You know, we're planning on having a lot more than just the staking pool.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I can see what you're saying now. So like let's take we were just talking about Knights of the Ether. So like there might be a dragon character and the MDD might fund the reward pool out of that, and if the players get together and destroy the dragon, they all get to reap the rewards or something like that. And from a outsider perspective, that's kind of like seeding a project, so to speak. It's like, is there enough activity to bring more investment into this project? Almost really, really interesting thinking about how these things will all work in the future. But I get excited about this kind of stuff. I want more active gameplay though. That's my big thing. I'm a big gamer at heart, and play to earn is cool, but right now it's just a lot of point and click.
I've been just following you guys for a while now and what you guys have been doing. And one question that I feel like everyone would want to know as well as we venture forward into, more flywheel mechanics that we see along with different projects that are also creating it as well. And just how it just is starting to differentiate little by little between each project. Specifically speaking on just Magic Dragon Dao, like what are you guys doing different in terms of your pool per se? In terms of Battlefly's bank that they just recently came up with, or Realm's flywheel systematics that they're also including now as well. And in terms of speaking on a mechanical perspective as well, in terms of your staking mechanics, how does realistically, just in general, how does Magic Dragon DAO work in terms of mechanical perspective, in terms of just the entire flow state of the mechanics that you guys have involved within your DAO, and just in different, how does it differentiate between what other projects are doing within their flywheels?
So it's really simple. You come with Magic, you stake in the pool, and it works like in an Atlas Mine 2 week lock. So, right now the APRs we're able to offer are the fully boosted NFT stake with a 2 week lock. So that's kind of phase one. That's what we call our tempting offer pool. And I'll talk about how that's a little bit different from other things in the ecosystem, and then I'll try to move towards, what our future plans are. I think the big difference between us and Battlefy's Flywheel is that we really serve different segments of the ecosystem. So, we're trying to make something that helps the smaller player. Our median deposit in the Atlas mine is under 1,000 magic, or our median deposit in our staking pool is under 1,000 magic. We have a lot of people that have been, priced out of legions and everything like that, staking with us, and we're really happy to serve that segment and like grow that community and build loyalty that way. Battlefly's Flywheel is for other partner projects in the ecosystem, which is also really, really important. So, if you want to design a game and you need magic emissions to be part of your game, that's, somewhere where you might want to go to Battlefly's Flywheel to kind of earn those magic emissions and get it in that way. If you're an individual, or you are simply someone that's like looking for the best yield on your magic, like maybe you're a fund, or, someone that has a long-term investment in the ecosystem, you're going to want to go with MDD, because there's one, it's open to all, it's permissionless. Two, the APRs are very clear and the mechanics are very clear of how it works. Basically, fully boosted NFT stake in the Atlas mine, and you have kind of full control over how much to put in, what to put out. We're not asking anything of our depositors from like a, this is what we need from you perspective in terms of access or in terms of investment in our partner projects. We're really open to all, and if you have 1,000 magic or if you have 1,000,000 magic, we work the exact same way. In the future, like I'll talk a little bit about how our mechanics are going to expand. The Atlas mine isn't going to be the only source of magic emissions forever, right? We're all really excited for the launch of harvesters, and I'm sure the rest of the community is too. And this is going to be our opportunity to really go deeper into like, what does it mean to be the convex of magic? And what MDD will be offering is essentially sort of a blended yield product. And what does that mean? That means we have a bunch of data people that are going to be able to figure out how much emissions can we get from the harvesters given our resources. The 2 one-of-ones we have, our all classes, our treasures. How much emissions can we get from the Atlas mine based on our resources? What's the best way to allocate those resources to kind of generate a global maximum emissions capture, right? So maybe you have a 101 in a harvester and an Atlas mine, or maybe you have 2 101s in separate harvesters. And eventually, all the ways we use our resources to capture yield across all of the different aspects of Bridge World will be wrapped up into one blended yield token, which we're calling DR Magic. For those who are familiar with Convex, that's kind of the equivalent to CVX CRV in the Convex ecosystem. It's like a wrapped magic token with the yield built in. So it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be something where you pledge your magic to the dragon and you essentially say that you want to, play the game with MDD. And MDD is going to be, again, playing the game of Bridge World to figure out how to maximize yield. So sometimes it's going to be staking. Sometimes that's going to be using legions for crafting, for instance, so we can stake more in harvesters. Maybe in the future we'll, want to be summoning for some new aspect of the game. But when you essentially pledge your magic to MDD in return for DR Magic, you're saying that you want to play the game with MDD and that your DR Magic is going to earn you the yield that MDD earns by playing the game. And then the next thing is, what does it really mean to play the game with MDD? Are you just trusting some anons to be able to figure out what the best way to capture emissions are? In the future, we're going to actually have a native governance token that gives everybody who has a stake in MDD the rights to decide how we want to adopt new Bridge World strategies, right? So the kind of long-term plan is you pledge your magic to the dragon, you earn DR Magic, you get yield from the DR Magic, you stake DR Magic to earn MDD. That MDD gives you a governance say in the guild as far as how the guild should capture missions and blend yield, or maybe even distribute NFTs that they craft to earn to MDD stakers. And that's kind of the long-term vision. So it's really a collaborative way to play the game of Bridge World kind of with the dragon. And once our governance token releases have, say for anyone as far as how that game should be played. So that's kind of the grand vision of our mechanics that are going to be coming probably pretty soon after we see harvesters come to market.
That was great answer.
Yeah, that was nice. I love that.
I like where you guys are going with this. I'm excited to see what happens when harvesters release. It sounds like there's going to be quite the competition between a lot of these projects to create the first harvesters. And I know that originally in the white paper they said there will only be 6 harvesters. So I think that's really going to create a lot of competition. Just to be clear, based on what you guys were saying, if you wanted to stake your magic and you were a small staker, it sounds like if you were going to stake for 2 weeks, you would get better yield going with you guys. But if you were a small staker and you had a bunch of treasures, are you better off going with like 6 months or 12 months if you're interested in that type of staking? Or is it still better to go with you guys?
I think we did I think CJN, we have a data maestro on our side, and he did the lookup that it only starts to make sense if you do have quite a few expensive NFTs at a 3-month lock. Then I think that's the first point in which the break, like that break even happens. But keep in mind, your liquidity is quite low, right? You're locked up for 3 months, and I'm not sure actually when the first time you start earning back is. But with us, our plan is to offer the highest liquidity possible right now. So in 15 days you have all your magic back plus some. And you can even consider compounding strategies or whatever you want. So we have some people who compound every other day. So I hope that answers your question.
No, it definitely does answer my question. I recall when you guys first launched that was one of the kind of discussion topics in the Discord that we're in about whether or not it was better off going with Magic Dragon Dao or just staking the Atlas mine, and also concerns that the dragon was going to be taking a lot of the activity from the Atlas mine, but you're still staking within the Atlas mine anyways. So it's
Yep.
still win-win for the user, and the Atlas Mine percentage isn't going to go down because Magic Dragon DAO exists.
Yep. I think I think if you have an all class, it might be better to do a 3 or 12-month lock, but anything below that, MDD is basically the best you can get.
Even with the fee.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
Yep.
So we provide everything you see on the site is post fee. So everything you see is what you earn. We, as of now, take a 24.69% percent fee. So whatever you see is what we're actually earning from the Atlas Mine plus the fee.
I think it's worth saying, like, that fee is not going to our pockets, right? The fee is being used for DAO operations, rewarding the people that have pledged their treasures and legions to stake with us. So, if, for instance, we have many people that pledged, honeycombs to stake with us, and they're rewarded with part of that fee. Future plans to build out, our own kind of GameFi project and things like that. That's what the fee goes for. So a lot of most of that fee goes back into the ecosystem. We also have some, operational costs too. Like, we just paid for a smart contract audit, which I know is really important to a lot of people as well. So just want to make it clear that, like, the fee helps MDD and the treasure ecosystem grow. We're not putting any of it really back into our pockets. Yeah.
I think a lot of our listeners will understand that too. Nothing is done for free around here. Even running this podcast has costs associated with it.
Yep.
So, I can completely understand. But you touched on something in that answer that I kind of wanted to dive into a little bit further. I didn't know that people have pledged their treasures. I thought the MDD had bought all their treasures and owned them all. Is that a program that you guys will expand more over time, where people can pledge more treasures to the Magic Dragon DAO to earn a portion of the fees that are collected as well?
I'll let Dyson finish, because he probably has less technical and more easy to understand answer. But yeah, we do imagine that. So right now, we have our 20 treasures and we have our legions in the Atlas Mine. So, there's not a lot of room for additional pledging, but with harvesters, there will be, right? And with new game mechanics, there will be. So we don't only want to offer this, like, idea of join the guild, become a member of the guild and pledge your treasures, which is kind of how it works right now. But in the future, we're going to be offering bonding. So we've seen this in other parts of the ecosystem, like, for instance, Paragon's DAO on mainnet did this. But, let's say there was a reason that we needed to acquire a lot of Ox Legions, or we needed to acquire, a certain type of treasure. We might offer bonding programs where you can basically sell your NFT to the DAO in return for discounted MDD, or an MDD bond. So, that's how we plan to kind of source the resources we need in the future, in addition to kind of like direct partnerships with owners of resources. And we think it's going to be really cool. This is like one of the examples we see of an opportunity to bring, like, interesting DeFi mechanics into the game. So, maybe there's a reason we say, okay, in the next 3 weeks, we want to acquire, all the donkeys we can get. And if you own a donkey, you now are in a situation where you can get additional exposure and influence to MDD at a better than market rate via bonding. So we think that's a really exciting potential project we can build.
No, that does seem really interesting. I think I have a Grin still and a bunch of other T1 and T2 treasures. I'm kind of interested. Everything for me right now is locked in the Atlas Mine. I did a 3-month lockup, I think, when it launched. But when it comes out, I'm seriously considering moving over to MDD, because it sounds like the prospects there are much, much more economical for me, so to speak. But I'd love to be able to, like, kind of stake my Grin, with you guys to potentially earn more yield. So I'll be following that closely. One of the things that we kind of have to be aware of is you guys have a lot of magic that you're collecting now. And someone that I was talking to about this recently had mentioned, with all that magic, you guys have a lot of control over how the Treasure DAO operates in terms of governance. What's your plan in terms of being good, I guess, caretakers of the Treasure DAO ecosystem with the amount of magic that you have?
I think this is where what we mentioned a little bit earlier, where once we start moving to like a DAO governance proposal, it's not even up to KVK and I. It's up to those that are a part of MDD can help make those decisions. I think that's one piece how I'd answer that. And the second piece is, I think what we're really trying to do is work close with the treasure team, so that if you are an individual who locks your magic up yourself, and in return get something like a DR magic, we would like to do some type of pass-through governance voting where it's not even up to us to vote for you. You can still try to do that voting based on your share. So we don't even want the voting power in that way. We're trying to be as equal to the ecosystem as possible. These are things that we're trying to look for ways to provide that power to everyone who is a part of MDD. So I hope that that sort of at least gives the view that we're trying to allow those to still keep their voting power.
And that makes sense. And I don't think there would be any plans to not be
Hostile
good caretakers.
takeover.
But I also am cognizant of, let's say, you are giving all the voting rights to the users of Magic Dragon Dao, but say there's a Treasure Dao proposal that would negatively affect Magic Dragon Dao, even though all the participants have their own voting rights, they likely will all vote in lockstep against something that would negatively affect Magic Dragon DAO, correct?
We hope so.
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember, like, though, this is a game, right? There could always be something that happens, that affects, the current status quo. We're ready for that. We'll build new stuff. We know that, like, generally in any sort of, like, game ecosystem, active play is rewarded and adapting to the metagame is rewarded. So we're ready for that.
That's fine. And
yeah,
I just wanted to get that question out there because I think that some people are interested in your line of thinking, and I think it's the right line of thinking. Don't get me wrong. But people want to know.
You know what? I also had another question. Based off of, I guess you could say, about just touching along the lines of what we're talking about right now, and in terms of just current sentiment, when it comes to just price activity based off of Magic, the activity on Treasure itself, and obviously it's to me it's still kind of shocking to know that the main core concept of, specifically speaking, Bridge World is not even out yet. Like, we haven't even seen Harvesters out yet, and so much has happened over the months, and it's honestly still blows my mind to this day. But specifically speaking on, I guess you could say, just current market sentiment, the community sentiment, what everyone is, I guess you could say, feeling and kind of working towards as of right now, how does that necessarily affect Magic Dragon DAO, and specifically your plans for the future and what you guys wanted to do, specifically speaking, in terms of the pool and just the mine and everything like that?
So when we've only launched, I think, about 3 to 4 weeks ago. So just to put that into perspective, we're relatively a new entrant, I guess you could call it, into the space here. And from our perspective, I think although we tried to, get our name out and in the months of February and early March, try to work with everyone, I think all in all, we were a bit of like a quiet building team until we launched in March, and that then we kind of got on everyone's radar. I don't know how productive a conversation is trying to correlate price with when we launched and things like that. But what I can say is we do watch the ecosystem pretty closely and try to see if how things change. To the point of the Harvesters, we know, at least the Treasure team has told us, the situation that happened on the marketplace, the exploit, was one of the big delays, and now I think they're trying to be pretty cognizant on when they release this Harvester. Check things pretty thoroughly there. So I think that's why we're seeing a bit of a slowish period, I guess you could call it. Yeah, time in crypto moves pretty quick. I think we've only been doing this for like 3 or 4 weeks though.
Yeah. And like there are ways that, like, MDD's launch has kind of affected the treasure economy. So we're definitely aware of that, right? It's like, the 12-month stakers thought they, like, would have made the best possible, decision to maximize their yield by locking for 12 months. I think the treasure team themselves has communicated that, like, that's the risk you take when locking for 12 months. But, I can see how they feel like, man, like, now that MDD is out, I'm kind of salty, right? I'm not getting the best yield possible, and I don't have the liquidity. So we're aware of that. And I think in some of our future releases, we're going to have some, like, special stuff for, long-term stakers and Genesis Legion holders some fun goodies. So I think people should keep an eye out for that if they're one of those people. We might have something fun for you.
That's pretty cool. I like that you're kind of taking the approach that it's not, well, you stayed for 12 months, sorry. It's more like, how can we help everybody win? I love that.
Yeah, we try to listen to the feedback, and that was one of the pieces that we heard and we knew we could act on. And it's a better response than sorry, I guess.
For sure. But it also shows that you're willing to kind of be flexible and look to innovate as much as possible, which makes sense because you guys are builders. So I mean, I would expect you to do those types of things. I know that you guys recently had your contract audit. Who did you audit them with, by the way? I'm just curious.
It's a group called Omniscia. They
Okay.
we looked at them because we had a friend there, and B, they did a lot of the audits and lookovers for Convex, so we thought that would be a pretty similar familiarity reason. They also did other big protocols like Olympus Ohm, and Tokamak, and among other things. So they provided us the best time and as well as contextual. So that's why we went with them.
Awesome. And if you don't mind me asking, what were the results of that audit, and how long do you think it will take to implement any of the changes that they suggested?
In progress.
Yeah.
We are hope to be able to implement the changes this week. I'm actively working on it with the other devs in the Discord. The audit was very good. It was very thorough, and they recognized a few gas optimizations, ways to improve user friendliness. So we were very happy with the results of it. Once everything is implemented and upgraded, then we will share the audit with the public. So we're looking forward to doing that too, and we know that's something that a lot of people are kind of looking for is. They need to know that it's been audited in order to make a large deposit or make a deposit at all. So we are, working tirelessly behind the scenes to implement all the suggested changes and make the audit public, so everyone can, that level of confidence from having an external professional auditor look at it.
Absolutely. And I guess it makes sense that you
Yeah.
wouldn't release the audit in case there are any potential exploits that people would take advantage of.
Well, we just don't want to say, hey, we have a bunch of stuff and it's unfixed, right? And there was nothing nothing major. There's nothing at risk right now, or we would be treating it much differently. Obviously, we make sure that we removed any risk vectors right away. So yeah, well, everyone will see kind of what was covered and how it was alleviated. It's more just the fact that we want to make it clear by the time we put it out that, hey, this is already fixed, not a concern. And the auditor has looked at our fixes and also said that those fixes, are acceptable to them. So that's kind of the process we're in right now is we got some initial kind of comments. We're making the fixes, then we're going to send them back to Omniscia so that they say, we like these fixes, or, give us whatever feedback is appropriate. Yeah.
Something I just wanted to add there, and some of the larger players in the space have done this. If you are interested in depositing with MDD, but still are a little bit curious about what our contract does, we do sort of hand walk through people if it makes sense.
Yep.
So that's something. If you are a large player in the space and you are waiting for an audit but would like to get more context, just reach out to us. We happy to literally go through the code with you.
Yeah.
So I'm just offering that to those in the space that are still a little bit sheepish.
Yeah, and I guess one more thing too. The contract is verified on Arboscan, so anybody can read the code. And if there are other devs in the space that look at the contract and might notice something, we'd love to hear about it. So we're in the process of developing a formal bug bounty program. But even right now, informally, we would make sure to definitely work and encourage people to take a look for themselves and report any findings to us.
Break us.
Break us. I love that. I appreciate that you guys are all builders and have been in this space for quite some time, recognizing that you've worked on some larger DeFi projects. What would you say for any kind of builders out there who are just getting started or want to get started in this space? What would be the best advice that you would give them right now with what you've learned so far?
DM me and I'll give you some stuff to work on.
Right on.
Yeah.
So you're saying don't work on your project, work on my project.
No. Okay. So seriously, like one of the big piece of advice I could give, and I'm going to speak for specifically like smart contract stuff, and I think Dyson can speak to like the product and tokenomics level, is that read everything. If there's some like degen farm you just aped into, read the contract and then like read it again. And like if there are any patterns, you see that you haven't seen before, study them, figure out why they are that way. Like, compared to people that may have been, developing in Web 2, there is working on smart contracts is a very high context activity, in my opinion. It's really good to know, for instance, like, how an AMM works, how a lending pool works, how a staking pool works, and thankfully there are a lot of highly successful and battle tested contracts on mainnet that make these patterns very clear. So, the best thing you can do as a builder is to also be a user and to be a curious user. That's kind of my, not that this is what I give for feedback for anybody who wants to build in crypto. So, yeah.
I guess from a non-technical setup, something I just read a thread. I was trying to find it to send the link, but I'll if anyone wants it, just DM me. I'll find it for you. But this is I would say just get involved and post random stuff. The main sentiment of that thread I read was the only person that's going to apply for you is yourself. And I think a lot of the way this crypto space works is you just get noticed and then you sort of just get brought into something. And it's like a pretty open world where like I would think our whole team, like every single core contributor on our team, just no one really, we don't really know them. Like they just started providing value and we said, hey, do you want to work on this further? And that's sort of how it works. There hasn't really been any like roles that people applied for and we interviewed them, and people just post messages and there's some value in them, and that's how it works out. There's a few other projects that I tried to get involved with, and the only way in which I got past sort of these general channels is you just keep on providing some sense of value, and then someone will reach out or notice you, and you get asked to help a little bit further. So that's my advice: is just get involved and read stuff and post stuff. And if you want to ask what could I help with, people usually answer because everyone's overwhelmed. So I'd say go for it.
Thank you for that. I appreciate both your answers, and for anyone out there is listening and you're kind of on the fence about doing something, you heard it here. Just go for it. It's the best thing you can do, and ask a lot of questions. And
we have a lot of work. If anyone wants to work on MDD,
yeah.
DM, literally post in our general channel and say, I want to help. We have a contributor forum and we'd love to work with you.
Yeah, I might even have to touch you guys up on that later on as well. Honestly, I'd love
go
to
for it, Alan.
It seems cool.
Great.
I know we've been talking for quite a bit of time, and I want to be respectful of your time. I only have a couple more questions. Do you guys still have time?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, first question that I have is, there's obviously tons of different projects in kind of the incubation stage, MVP stage, transitioning from, or growing as we speak. What projects are you most bullish on or kind of really intrigued by right now in the Treasure DAO space? If you have time to utilize them, because I understand that you're also building and you're probably spending a lot of time doing that as well.
The one, well, maybe you go first, KVK, while I grab the link of this place. But the one that just launched, you go first.
I think a lot of us, we have a channel in our Discord where a lot of us are pretty excited about life. We've all, hatched our seeds and created our characters, and we are, excited to kind of see what new gameplay elements, pop up there. A bit of an alpha leak here is, we talked about things like bringing the dragon into games, slaying the dragon. I just encourage everybody to play the game of life. I think there, could be an interesting kind of collab there in the future. So that's one that, we're really looking forward to. And I'm personally, excited about as someone who, got their seed of life and hatched it and created a character and, is excited for all the kind of the character building stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited about Seed of Life too. I only had one, but I got a warrior. What class did you get if you're playing?
I get a warrior too. I never roll anything rare for any NFTs, but I'm happy with my
I'm
lawyer.
I'm in that club also. I never roll anything rare either. What about you, Dyson?
The defrag project I thought is pretty interesting. Should I give context on this?
Yeah, I had not heard about this one.
So this I think was posted maybe in the Treasure announcements channel, or I'm not sure what, but I can send the link after. I'll read their little the little blurb now. This is their words, not mine. Hey Treasure fam, Defrag is building a lending protocol that will allow users to borrow using the Genesis Legions. This will not negate the Genesis Legions boost in the Atlas mine or any future mines. Defrag is doing user testing for the bridge roll lending UI. So you can basically provide an asset, an NFT, while you still earn the boost and maybe get some type of liquidity there. And this is really interesting for me, as well as I think for the rest of the MDD team, because this now means possibly a world where someone gets some assets, some magic, likely back for their Genesis Legion, can stake an MDD while also being in a part of a lending system. And it's nice, at least for me, as someone who helped bring a little bit more DeFi into a GameFi space, to see others trying to do something similar. So that was a neat little thing to see. This came out, I think, yesterday or like 2 days ago. Pretty recent.
I had heard some kind of rumblings about that, but I didn't know the name of the project. Thank you for giving me the name. I'm going to look into that one more too. I'm interested in that.
And just to let everyone know, we're gonna post these links if we're okay to do so. We're gonna post these links in the description for everyone to look into later as well. It's more so just again what you guys have going on for the future. I mean, we've probably discussed this already, but I guess just let the viewers know, what's in sight for Magic Dragon Dao, what you guys have in plans coming into the future. Maybe even want to leak a little bit of extra alpha to let the viewers know again anything special that you guys have going that might incentivize people to really want to, put their stuff into Magic Dragon Dao, or honestly just anything you guys want to tell us that you guys might have something special coming forward that might again really boost up just people's sentiment towards Magic, or maybe even external communities that want to join as well.
The hype. I guess one, we hope the product sells itself from like from a execution standpoint, but from an alpha standpoint, I think are planning to be on the main treasure AMA the 15th of May. And right around leading up to that, we're going to be banging out back-to-back stuff. So right around that time, we're at least attempting to have a few things come out back-to-back there. And we try to sort of show, don't tell. So maybe we'll hold off a little bit until we get there.
I love that. I love that mentality though, because I think that when you announce something and then you assign a date to it or hint at a date to it and you don't deliver on that, it's detrimental. And one of the projects that we're very familiar with on this pod, but I appreciate what they're doing, is Realm, because whenever they kind of update or deliver it, it's kind of like they announce it when they go live with it, which feels a lot more exciting than kind of the announcement of the announcement, so to speak.
Exactly. So we're not a big fan of the tweeting out coming next week is an announcement. I don't know. So that's not too sexy for us. So I do hope by our May podcast time that we'll have some nice stuff to talk about what we've been building.
And I guess my last question for you guys, and Alan, if you have any follow-up questions, you're more than welcome to ask, is do you guys have anything you want to share with the listeners out there? Any final thoughts?
Who wants to go first?
I guess my final thought is that, we've really tried to talk about, in this podcast and in our public channels is, we're super open. If you have questions for us, anyone can join our Discord. Anyone can stake with us. We're open for people that want to contribute. We're, welcoming of any level of experience as a contributor. If you're a new dev and you're looking for a project to get involved in, we'd love to be that project. So, anything you want to know about MDD, pop in the Discord and ask. We're super friendly. Our, community people are extremely active, both in the Treasure Discord and in our Discord. And, we're not trying to be like, the dragon that's, hiding in the cave. We are, you know, out and about and talking to people, and we want to hear feedback, and we want to be front and center when it comes time for possible questions about what we're building. And we're really, really happy to chat.
I have a pretty similar sentiment, so I won't repeat too much. But yeah, we're pretty open. So if you have like a problem with what we're doing, criticism, or even thanks, we're happy to hear it all. We read a lot of the Moon Boys as well as Theory Crafting, and we try to understand what the sentiment is, and it's helpful because obviously there are the Todds and the Godfathers from our side who are in those channels quite a lot. But once we realize, maybe there was a sentiment change about the the long-term lockers, that's how we then build ideas for that. So if you have criticisms or even positive notes, do share them, because that helps us ideate, because that's what we know how to do, is sort of build on those ideas. So yeah, that's kind of what KVK said. Drop in and chat with us. We're pretty happy to hear anything, except when whitelist.
That's all right. We're pretty patient around here at the Magic Hour. I don't know about other folks, but I think we all understand that when you guys are building, asking when it's going to happen, asking or almost demanding for like deadlines is just counterintuitive. You're not going to get anywhere with it.
We're actually happy to talk about MDD stuff, but if you just ask us when your whitelist role will be, that's I think we have like a one strike policy, and then we just kick you from the Discord.
Wow.
We're very anti-bot. We do like discussion. I think if you even come into our general channel and you write hi, you'll get attacked with a use the right channel. We try to promote positive discussion. It's not to be like a clean word, but it's not to be a rude. We're just trying to curtail or try to build a healthy discussion where if you come into the general channel, it's actually interesting to read. We don't want it to be hi GM, like those channels die out. So that's just the idea behind it, is to try to create some conversation that's worth reading.
Yeah, productive conversation.
Yeah, productive conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can respect that. Honestly, I love having a Discord for the Magic Hour podcast, but I'm going to be honest, I don't spend a lot of time in here, and I don't think there's a lot of activity for it. And I hope in the future that maybe we become something like that. But there are so many other places to get that type of conversation out there that there's no reason to bring it everywhere, right? And I can agree with what you're saying there. Yeah.
Any last questions you have, or any tough?
No, I think we're good. I just wanted to say thank you very much for joining the pod. It was great hearing you guys talk about your journey through Web3 and with Magic, and I'm really excited about what you guys are doing, about how stacked your team is, it sounds like, and what the future is going to bring, not just for Magic Dragon DAO, but for the Treasure DAO ecosystem as a whole. So thank you again. I really appreciate it.
And with Alum joining, it'll be super duper stacked. But
maybe might just help just a tiny bit.
And that concludes another episode of Magic Hour, friends. If you like what you hear, please like and subscribe to our YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you can listen to your podcasts. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magic Hour Pod. All the links are found on our link tree, which is in the show notes. From all of us, we appreciate your support for Bridge World.